So Lee, before we get on to your role with City Matters, you're obviously a massive City fan. Can you just tell us about how that love for the club first came about?
So I'm actually from a rugby family. My dad, granddad, all from rugby family. So I only really got into the world or football with World Cups. So moved to Manchester, lived right around the corner from Main Road. Went to my first game, the infamous Jamie Pollock famous own goal.
Should be cut out by Pollock and was quite comfortably, but the header has gone over his own goalkeeper and into the net. Oh dear, in a match of such importance which could see Manchester City relegated.
From that very moment I just fell in love with the club. The feeling of always being able to pick yourself back up and go again, because that's where we were at the time. So it still feels like that even today as the club's developed. It feels like a club with a sense of belonging, a sense of who they are, a sense of community, and I love that.
And then you've obviously extended your role, not just a fan now, you are the LGBTQ plus representative for City Matters. Just quickly tell us why you wanted to get involved with City Matters.
So I've talked about how being a Blue, being a City fan is the big part of my identity. But I am also a gay man, so I'm part of the LGBT community, and I've done a lot of work in this area, within the city, within the wider region and country. It took me a long time to accept that for myself, but I have now, and I want to be a voice for those who haven't had that acceptance either themselves or from others. So I'm comfortable in being out as a gay man, and I want everyone to be comfortable being out for themselves. Yeah. But also be welcome within football.
And what does your role involve with City Matters?
So it's being the fan representation for anyone with an LGBTQ background, find out what's happening, try to influence as best as we can, and to get our fan view to the club. I feel that the club want to listen, they want to hear our views, and if it's constructive and positive, they'll take it on board. We've gone to the next level on the football field, but the club looking at taking things to the next level off the football field, and we'll look at the infrastructure that's around the club, and they want to be part of Manchester, and part of Manchester is accepting all of our communities. So for them to want to hear from us, I think is amazing.
And City Matters representatives are obviously elected. What's the importance to you of an elected fan group within City Matters?
So for me, I'm really proud that I was elected, because it shows that people have faith and trust in me to be able to represent them. I listen to what people have got to say, and I put their views across, and I put it across in a representative and proportionate way. So this is about me being able to represent everyone else. So again, something I'm really proud to do and really keen to do in the future.
How can people get in touch with you if they have any questions or concerns?
So I have an email address that the City have provided. You can get the information from the City website, look on the City Matters section. Contact me if you have any concerns, any questions. If you want to ask anything around education, what chants mean, why is it hurtful, why what I just said, why does it make a difference to learn more about it, contact me. I'm here to help, advise and support.
You're also a member of Canal Street Blues, the club's official LGBTQ plus supporters club. Why did you decide to join Canal Street Blues, and what benefits do you feel it's brought to your City experience?
I joined Canal Street Blues primarily because as an out gay man and a City fan, it can sometimes feel a bit of a dichotomy, so you can feel like the two don't really meet. And I knew I couldn't have been the only one, sat in the stands being gay and a City fan. So once it was put out there and I saw that there was other people like myself, you naturally want to, have that affinity and share your experiences. And I've met some fantastic people who are now lifelong friends. But it's nothing better than being able to be yourself, and in both ways. So be yourself as a City fan, but also be myself as from myself out gay man, but we would say everyone from across the LGBT spectrum. So we meet up sometimes depending on kick-off, before the game, after the game, and it's just great to be yourself and then talk about the game. Just to have that experience is fantastic. So if you look at the whole LGBT spectrum, A for ally is in there sometimes. So yeah, an ally is really important. We've got some people who are fantastic allies who will speak out for us when we're not there, and that's what you always want. As I say, some great people, and it's about having that sense of, like I say, ownership and bond and togetherness. It's great that CSB were formed, and I feel really proud and privileged to be part of it and to be part of their representation. The role for CSB probably, and the role for talking about LGBT issues and having promotional campaigns, is to not be the need for one. We shouldn't really need it, and I think that's the ultimate aim, because it's so accepted, so inclusive, it's not even being needed to be discussed and talked about, because homophobia, biphobia, transphobia is not part of the game, it's not part of the stands, it's not part of people's language and behaviours. So for me, yeah, it's a panacea, you could say, but the ultimate aim is just not to have LGBT campaigns about stopping homophobia, biphobia, transphobia.
And Canal Street Blues are celebrating the 10-year anniversary this year. Have you been a member of Canal Street Blues that entire time, or also what highlights would you say you've had from your time with the group?
So yeah, 10 years for Canal Street Blues, that's gone really quickly. I think, from memory, I think I joined about a year later, so only the 9 years for me, so I've not done the 10-year testimonial just yet, but I was one of the early members. The highlight, it's got to be Istanbul. As a group, it's got to be Istanbul. Between us getting different access to tickets from season cards and etc, we got a really good group to go, and it was just incredible. Who would have thought we'd been in that place at that time? And let's not talk about the bus journey on the way home, but other than that, it was brilliant. That is the unique and most memorable part of CSB so far, but let's hope we have many more.
Yeah, fingers crossed, same again next year.
Yeah.
How much do you feel that attitudes towards the LGBTQ plus community in football have progressed or changed in football over the recent years?
So, how have attitudes changed within football? I think they have changed just hand in hand with how society has changed with their attitudes. I don't think there's that much difference, to be perfectly honest, if we're talking overall football. Society has changed massively towards acceptance of LGBT people, and football has been part of that societal change. I think there's probably been a bigger difference here in Manchester, because Manchester does have more people who are LGBT, people who come to Manchester from other parts of the country and other parts of the world. So I think Manchester City as a club have taken more positive steps than other clubs. That's not to say that other clubs aren't taking positive steps, but I feel that the club really want to be engaged and supportive. There are outdated chants out there, let's face it. Sometimes people do go down to baseline chants that they know will hurt people, and they use it sometimes not knowing what those words mean. I'm quite privileged, I think, that I don't stand out as a gay man on the touchline or in the stands. So I've never had any LGBT-phobic abuse thrown at me. It's really uncomfortable, and although it's not targeted at me, it makes me feel really uncomfortable and starts making me feel a little bit unsafe. And that's quite strange for someone who's a police officer who goes out in the rough and tumble to make you feel unsafe just from words. That's the difference it can have, an impact it can have on people. And if it can have that impact on me, you've got to think of the impact it has on other people who aren't in such safe situations. So there are certain chants that, look, I know that you say it, but let's stop. If you don't even know what you're saying, what are you doing? And if you do know what it means and you're saying it, then really you have to stop. It isn't a city-specific issue. It's pan-football. It's pan-other sports as well. However, let's face it, Manchester City has such a high profile at the minute. We are one of the leaders in football and in sport globally. So if you have that role, you have to take a lead. You have to do the right thing.
And obviously, February represents LGBTQ plus History Month. Why do you feel it's important to not only look forward, but also look back at where we've come from?
Yeah, so it is LGBT History Month in February, so one of the key points in the LGBT calendar, and one of the main points where we're going to be highlighting homophobia, biphobia, transphobia within society and obviously within football. So it's really important always to know where we've come from. The reason we have these awareness months and awareness events is because we haven't always been treated as fairly as everyone else. And to go forward, to be treated fairly, you've got to know your history. You can't go forward without knowing where we've come from. Everything is getting better, it's getting more inclusive, more supportive, so I'm really positive for the future.
Well said. Lovely. Amazing.
Yeah.